world, let's chat it up. We're talking competitions, uniforms, and all of the above. It's the Cheer Mom, yes, the Cheer Mom podcast. Cheer Mom, yes, the Cheer Mom podcast. Cheer Moms, your podcast is on.
The miracle of all miracles happened at my house in the last week. And, well, you'll know when I tell the story. It's not that good of a story. I'm building it up too much. The batteries in 2 straight smoke detectors signaled that they were low, 2 smoke detectors in a row, during the waking hours. During the daytime. I can't be the only one that feels like it's some kind of law of nature for smoke detectors batteries to suddenly go low and signal that they're low in the middle of the night. I can't be the only one. 2 times in a row now. We've just taken care of it during the day. It's the little things, everyone. It's the little things in life that you have to find simple joys and be grateful for. I have a special treat for you guys today. In this episode, I get to talk with my now dear friends, Liz and Alaina. Alaina is a TGLC athlete. Before that, she was a world champion athlete with Lady Lightning. She is fantastic, and I've gotten to know her and her mom pretty well over the last year, and they pull back the curtain for us a little bit and talk about the life of a TGLC athlete or a world champion athlete and some misconceptions that I've had, that even they had going into it, about athletes on that team. They talk about who they are and what they want you guys to know and what makes it worth it picking up and moving your life down to Miami to be part of an all-star cheer team. What makes it worth it? Alaina talks about that too. As always, I so appreciate your ratings, your reviews, and especially sharing the podcast with a friend. Thank you all so much for your support and encouragement. Keep it coming. It helps strengthen the show and helps enhance our community. And enjoy my talk with Liz and Alaina. Do you want to get that high pony looking slick and clean every time? Well, whether it's competition hair, getting that super clean look for your choreography, or even just that cute, trendy low bun for going out with friends, Slick Hair Company is your answer. Slick Hair Company is the founder of the original Slick Stick, and they also provide high-quality hair care, hair accessories, and styling products that will help you to achieve the perfect style and look. I used their wax stick for that middle part low bun look, and it was awesome. I was even able to curl my hair the next day without washing it, and my hair wasn't all greasy and gross. Founded by a female entrepreneur, Slick Hair uses cruelty-free ingredients that smooths all hair types. They hydrate and strengthen your hair. They promote hair growth and leave your hair feeling fresh and not greasy or sticky. Visit slickhaircompany.com/thecheermomblog and use code thecheermomblog for 10% off your entire order. That's slickhaircompany.com/thecheermomblog and use code thecheermomblog for 10% off. Your perfect style awaits with Slick Hair Company. We have a real live TGLC current athlete and her mom, and some very dear friends of mine. I just love you both so much, and I might say that multiple times in the episode, so everyone will forgive me for that. But welcome to both of you.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. So good.
I have so many questions, and I've asked them of you before, but I want other people to know. And I'm super nosy about the culture of not just TGLC, but like world athletes and elite athletes like you, Alaina, and also their moms, Liz. So we're going to get to all of it. But first, just tell me a little bit of background on yourself, Alaina. Where did you start in cheer?
So I actually started as a gymnast, and then I was like, oh, I want to try cheer. So I went and tried cheer. I went to 3 different gyms before I came to Top Gun. And Top Gun is definitely the best fit. I could not ask for a better gym, to be honest. But yeah, I've done gymnastics, power tumbling, diving, so a lot of flipping background. So I mean, the tumbling's always been my favorite part.
So you're
She
fearless.
probably doesn't even remember how she came to cheer.
No, like I don't even remember. Like,
So
How
I
was it?
coaching
Yeah, from your
gymnastics at the
perspective.
time. Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
coaching gymnastics at the time, basically to pay for her gymnastics. And the cheer coach came over and said, "Hey, we need a little that can do a back handspring, and can we just try her at cheer for a minute?"
Famous last words.
And she was like 5 at the time, which is probably why she doesn't fully remember
I
that.
think I was like younger than that.
Kindergarten, like
Yeah.
very young. And then after practice, they came to me and they were like, "Okay, so these are the practice days. We can work around gymnastics. Can we have her?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm here anyway, sure." Not really realizing what exactly we were getting into.
Yeah, that's a very familiar story for many of us.
And then here we are.
Yeah.
Here
12
we
years
are.
later.
Here we all are. So, okay, so we're skipping over, like, fast forward like 10 years, like 2/3 of your life, right, Alaina? So, like, we're gonna fast forward a bunch of years, and you wanted to try out for TGLC. You're living in, I'm like filling in the story, but you're living in Illinois, right? And you want to try out for TGLC. What was the lead up that made you even want to consider trying out for that team all the way across the country?
Well, I've always watched TGLC ever since I was younger. So, I mean, it's always been kind of like a dream team of mine, I guess you could say. But I felt like I just needed to change my life. And I felt like this was going to be like the fulfillment of change that I needed. And I just kind of felt like I needed to change my life, something to push me a little bit more. And I really just felt like this was the way I was going to fulfill that.
So she had asked for years and years, and we were always like, "Yeah, whatever." Not something that we even entertained because I had other kids in the house. And then somehow she convinced my husband and I to let her cheer in Chicago, which is 9 hours round trip. So 4.5 hours one way. And so she did that for a few years. And then when my youngest son graduated from high school, and she legitimately asked me again, knowing that my excuse of, "Oh, I have other kids at home," was gone, I kind of blew her off. And then she asked my husband, and he was like, "Well, if you make the team, we could talk about it." And I was like, "Babe, back up, because she might actually make that team. So be careful what you say." And then the next thing you know.
Okay, so wait, let's back up. So you're driving 4.5 hours one way for cheer before you even moved to Florida.
We did that for what, like
4 years?
4 years. But then I feel like the last year that we were there, I felt like we were always like kind of getting burnt out from driving. So like we were definitely staying like a ton more. Like my last year, like my second to last year, because I was doing 2 teams as well. So I had double the amount of practice in Chicago.
Okay. Okay. I don't mean to sound judgmental, but I know that people are listening and going, I know that there's a small amount of people that are like, "Yep, we do the same thing because that's what you got to do. That's where the closest good gym is. That's what's going to challenge her. And that's what we do." And I know that there is a large group of people for many different reasons that are like, "Why would you do that?" So Liz, maybe you can answer it better because that's a big commitment and that's a big sacrifice. So, what made that 9 hours round trip? What made that sacrifice worth it for you?
So we're going to bring it all the way back to probably a story you don't even know about, because she technically had not outgrown the gym that we were at yet. The coaches were fabulous. The team was great. She was on a J5 team, and they placed third at Summit that year and was doing actually very well. But there was some chemistry issues, I guess you could say, with the team that year. And she was actually, believe it or not, assaulted by a mom at that gym. And so I had kind of checked out of the sport and was like, "Let's focus on diving. Let's just finish this year. Let's finish your commitment. Let's move on." And then she was on the phone with her best friend from the first team that she had ever been on.
Well, that was actually my first retreat.
And they had convinced us to try out for the gym that her daughter was at. And so they could be on the same team again and everything.
Yeah, which was ICE.
Yeah, which was ICE at the time. And, we didn't love the school that she was in because we had switched a couple years previous to that from Catholic school to public school. And the idea of switching gears a little bit and going to online school and just like taking a jump at this other team and just seeing where it takes us. It was supposed to be like a 1 season thing and then hopefully back to the focus of diving. And it turned into
And we actually went there knowing that I was actually going to go from a junior level 5 team to a senior 4 team. So I was actually going down a level.
I forgot about that actually.
Yeah. So I actually wasn't even doing the level of skills that I actually had. I had a double at the time. I could have been on probably like a junior 16, level 16. But I was like, I want to finish out my flying years. And I did senior for 1 year. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, now it's time for me to start basing because I know once I get to world team, I'm going to have to base and I'm going to need a tumble as well. So.
Okay, interesting. There's a lot there, Alaina. So you chose to step down a level for a different gym where you could be with your best friend, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And not just that, though. The coach of that team, we still talk to her every single day. It was more than just, honestly, a cheer team. That year will be a year I'll literally probably forever remember, just because it was like a year that brought back fun cheerleading for me. It was more than just getting better, more than just, honestly, just like progressing my sport. It was just truly enjoying cheer before I could get better at cheer.
And then you said you wanted to finish out your flying years because you knew that you would need to be a base if you were going to be on a world's team. Is that something that you just kind of always knew? Because I feel like that's an expectation that most kids at that age, let alone their parents, sorry parents, but sorry flyer moms, like it's just not something that's, I just know that this is going to be the way that it is. So how did you know that?
I feel like it was just something I don't know. Like, I knew that once I went to a junior 6 team and I was going to be basing little, like, 9, 10-year-olds, that I was like, I'm going to have to base. And then I continued to grow because that's, like, when COVID happened and we were all getting super tall. So I was like, yeah, I just think I could be a really good base. I got as strong as I possibly could. And I just learned that I need to do what's best for the team and not just what's best for me, which I feel like it's very hard in the sport because a lot of people just are like, hey, I need to focus on myself, do what I do like best for myself. But
once I understood the sport and realized like, hey, she's the smallest because she's the youngest, I kind of knew. I knew that once the age gap closed and she was no longer going to be, the 5-year-old getting based by 12-year-olds anymore, that there was going to come a day. Yeah. So,
I mean, yeah, when I was on my senior 4 team, I was 13 getting based by
11. No, you're 11.
Oh, I was 11 getting based by 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds.
So we knew it was out there.
Okay, interesting. So
I'm 5'7", my husband's 6 foot. Our boys are well over 6 foot, all of them. So we knew.
Alaina, you're the shorty of the family.
Yes, I know. I don't know how I'm so short, actually.
But in the cheer world, that's tall.
I'm so tall. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't inherit the tall gene.
Yeah, but you know what's so funny? It's like I think I'm one of the tallest girls on my team.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I am probably, which is insane, right? I'm taller than some of the boys too, which is also insane.
That is like, so funny.
Where everything that would come from. Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, so set realistic expectations. You were driving, and then you said, "Hey, I think I can make this TGLC situation." And I don't know if I'm the only one who had this misconception, but I guess there's not like a graceful way to say this, but I just always pictured the athletes that moved to Miami for a cheer team were troubled kids or that didn't come from stable families, that didn't really have anything else going for them. And I'm not proud of that. I mean, clearly, like, it's a misconception. And I guess that comes from there's not a lot of opportunities in cheer beyond high school or college, especially for girls. And then I met you guys, and you're the opposite of all of those things. You're well adjusted, you're smart, you're a great student. Are there more kids like you on the team, or are you an exception? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I will say there are a ton of great families that come to this gym and are on TGLC. I will say these are the most supportive parents I've ever met in my whole entire life. The parents will stay at the door and cheer us on during all of our vlogs during our, like, in the gym. And they love watching our kids, like super supportive parents. And the ones that don't come with parents, I think Victor and Kristen do an amazing job.
I agree. And I would
I've
say
heard-
I wouldn't consider them troubled.
They just need help, maybe guiding in life a little bit of where their purpose
Yeah.
is.
And that's not, and as I've gotten to know TGLC athletes, like I was totally wrong about that perception. Like, no matter what background you come from, these are amazing athletes and they do have the support of their own parents or other kids' parents. And Victor and Kristen are like parents. I mean, Kristen was on the podcast in one of the first 5 episodes, and she even said, I'm listed as the emergency contact for some of these kids in school or other activities.
Yeah.
And their parents are with them, but they don't care if the principal calls their parent. They are scared if they call me.
And
So-
I think I had some of that same misconception you had, because when she asked to come here, I was like, there is no way I'm sending my teenager to Miami. I mean, luckily we're in a position to where I could come with her, because it would have been a hard stop no if I couldn't. But now that we're here and I support Coach K and Victor, I actually would be okay with it now that I know that it's not what I perceived it to be.
Yeah, and then also Victor and Kristen care more about how you are outside of cheer, outside, like in your actual life. They care about how you are as like actual human. And they do inside of cheer. They say you could be the best cheerleader ever, but if you're not a good human, that's all that matters to them. They want you to be a good human outside of cheer.
So where do you think people get the misconception that of what we just talked about? Like, where do you think people get that idea? Because it's not like we heard it anywhere.
I think it's easy for parents to say no if they believe that storyline.
Yes. So I think maybe 1 or 2 things have happened before, and that just has made it click for some parents. Like, no, this has happened once before, never again.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, children are going to make mistakes. It's going to happen, but it's what you do when you learn from it.
Well, and it can happen in any gym, and it does happen in any gym.
Yeah,
I think maybe you guys are such a high profile team that we hear about it from your team versus hearing about it from a team at the gym down the street. So that's kind of an unfair perception of you guys just because everyone's watching every move that you make.
Right. But I mean, even the mistakes that these kids do make, it doesn't seem like it's so huge that it's even something that anyone that's ever raised a teenager or have been a teenager before should judge. It's everyday things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think we all forget that for a minute, that these are such elite athletes. Alaina, you're 16, and I forget that every day of the week. And you're so amazing that we forget that these are still kids that are most of them are not older than 19 years old.
Yeah.
So you make the team, congratulations. And now you're faced with a decision, Liz. For you, you said it was a non-negotiable. You're not sending her by herself. You have 3 other kids. They're moved out, but you still have a home and a life in Illinois. So was that a no-brainer decision? Was that a tough one for your family? What does that look like?
Well, let me tell a story. I actually moved down here before we even knew I made the team.
It's pretty confident.
No, we were in the car driving here with all of us to this apartment actually, and we're like, okay, we're just gonna go. Let's pray to make it.
Okay.
Really,
I mean, it's a little more detailed than that, though. Like, we knew she would make a team.
Okay.
And so I
really took a leap of faith.
I think when this conversation kind of came into play, and my husband sat down and had a serious conversation about it, because I was kind of blowing it off and he was taking her seriously. Because I will tell you, like, my husband is the ultimate, like, if there's a dream, he's going to make it happen for you. He's so supportive in everything we do. At 43 years old, if I was to tell him, babe, I want to be a brain surgeon, he'd be like, okay, what do you need to do to make that happen? Let's do it. So he took her more seriously than I did. But when we sat down and had a real conversation about it, I said, well, we're not going to see each other very much. And he laughed, and you stay in Chicago all the time. I don't see you very much now. We're just going to have to plan better than what we're planning right now. And that's true. So it wasn't going to be an issue of, do we go to Miami or do we stay at home? It was, do we go to Miami or do we continue making the drive where we're still separated?
And I most likely would probably be still unhappy.
Right. And so what people don't talk about who make that drive is it takes an incredible amount of grit, not to make the drive there because it's during the day, but to make the drive back when we get home at 2:00 in the morning. Like, it takes so much grit and so much like It really has to be worth it, and stars have to align, and everything has to be pretty close to perfect to be able to continue at that pace and at that level of commitment.
Yeah.
Because it's not just committing to a team, it's committing to 9 hours in the car, it's committing to, eating on the road, it's committing to doing school on the road. It's not fun. The first couple of years it was, because it was new and, everything was perfect. But then when it wasn't perfect, it was hard. And so then we started staying there more often. And that's when it was, okay, well, we're spending the night in Chicago 4 or 5 nights a week. What is the difference? And when we are driving home, we get home so late at night that my husband's already asleep, and then he wakes up early in the morning. Well, we're not waking up at 5 a.m. to say bye to him before he leaves. We didn't get home at 2.
And then we have to leave at 12 o'clock before he even gets home from work.
So it really wasn't that big of a change, other than now we plan weekends together. We're going home next weekend, and he was just here a couple weeks ago. So we do plan to spend at least 2 weekends a month together. It doesn't always work out, but that's the goal, which is more than what we were doing when we were in Chicago, when it was just like a free for all. And hopefully I can high five you in the hallway at some point this week, so.
And you mentioned to me that it was actually ultimately your husband's idea for you guys to take this leap. So
No to her.
Okay, so you mentioned school on the road. I want to talk about school because Alaina, you do online school, right?
Yep.
Okay. I think we all understand how online school works, especially, we all went through the pandemic. We know what that looks like. But when it comes to, and you said that there are almost no athletes on TGLC specifically that go to real school. There's a few of them. And I'm like, well, that makes sense because you guys are traveling, you have practice, you guys are always in the gym. But how do you find your support system? Because let's all be very real that you love your team and your team can be like your family, but family can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's not always roses and dancing on a cloud. So
I will say we do have our arguments. So our team definitely does. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like we're all very when it comes to school, since a lot of us do online school, we'll do some school in the morning. We'll go in and we'll get our rep videos done. And then we'll go home. We'll do more school. We'll go back to the gym. So it's a lot of us, we're not just teammates, but we're also schoolmates. And a lot of us also live together. A lot of the team does. So they all do school together too. And then I feel like this also just creates accountability of, okay, I have to actually get my school done. Because that's another thing Victor and Kristen are really big on, is that you have to do your school.
And they offer up, tutoring and
everything.
They really do hold the kids accountable to
doing your schoolwork.
For sure.
If you do not do your schoolwork, they could probably make you sit out of practice.
They have to turn in grades. They have to turn in class schedules. And
then if you aren't doing school, if you decided to do a different route of life, you have to send in a work schedule.
Oh, that's right. Liz, you told me about there was somebody who isn't in school that was just doing cheer. And Coach Victor was like, you got to go get a job.
Yeah. They don't want you just sitting at home doing nothing and only cheering. They want you to do something.
Yeah,
that's going to better you outside of cheer.
And when I heard that, I was like, man, if there was a reason to like this guy more.
Just keeps giving us more reasons to.
It really impressed me. I didn't really have a reason to like him more or whatever, but I didn't think I could possibly respect him more until that. I was like, man, this guy really does genuinely care about these kids.
They really do. And you think that, again, a misconception is, will TGLC always wins year after year because they just get the best athletes and all the athletes want to come to them? And there might be a portion of that that's true, but I'm hearing you guys, a lot of them live together. A lot of you do school together. A lot of you work together. And I know that you have motivational speakers and other life enrichment activities together. Do you think, Alaina, that contributes to your success?
Oh, 100%. It creates a super, super close super bond. Anytime we have any issues, we automatically know we have to work them out before we walk into practice. And I think it honestly just makes us all want it even more for each other. Because when you're close with your teammates, I have to not just do this for myself, but the person standing next to me. And then especially when your coaches are invested, as Kristen and Victor are, you're like, hey, now I'm doing it for not just myself, my parents, but also my coaches that are giving their whole entire life to this team, literally.
Do you think, and I want you both to answer this question, do you think that the commitment and sacrifice of moving across the country and doing this should be dependent? It sounds like you need a really good support system, and it sounds like you need a supportive family. You all need to be on the same page about what's required of you. But do you think that it varies by position on the mat? Because Alaina, I would think that there there might be, again, this might be a misconception, but there might be more opportunities after high school as a tumbler than maybe somebody who is solely basing. What do you
Yeah,
think about that?
for sure. I mean, I'm currently also looking at like tumbling and acro for like college and stuff like that. So I mean, it definitely there's a lot of opportunities outside of cheer that I've had for after my all-star career. It's just I'm not sure what I do yet. I'm focusing on this year, and of course, I need to focus on my future. But also, this year is super important to me, and I need to just really focus on being the best that I can in this moment.
Liz, what do you think? Would you have done this if she almost fell off my chair? Would you have done this if she wasn't as good as at tumbling as she is?
Oh, that's when I wait. Can I just be honest?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think it'd be worth it to be honest, especially since I'm not stunting and like you don't stunt a ton in this routine. So if you're not doing the hardest passes possible, I don't think it'd be worth it. Especially when I could probably go be on an all-girl team where I would be stunting and then doing some of the like easier, I say easier, but they're actually still very hard passes with also all the stunting, all the tumbling, all the jumps, like everything.
I mean, her talent definitely plays a big role in our willingness to say yes to something like this. But I also have no expectation for her to do this sport or any other sport longer than what she wants to. And if that means tomorrow or next week or next year or after college, that's how long she'll have my support. Like for me, I tore my ACL my freshman year of college, 3 games in, and that ended my career. Would I go back and say, oh, well, I shouldn't have spent all that time playing soccer leading up to that moment because it ended there? No. And the same, I have 2 boys that wrestle for a Division I college, but my oldest son played soccer overseas. He went to Europe. Soccer was his whole life, all the way through grade school, up through halfway through high school. And then he decided to take a turn and he knew that he wanted to go into the fire academy. He knew that college soccer wasn't going to be for him because that wasn't his path. I wouldn't have changed anything. I wouldn't have said no to, traveling to Europe for soccer without there being some type of after high school possibility. So yes, I would say talent plays a part in the decision, but life after all-star cheer does not play a part in the decision to say yes. That makes sense.
I love both of those answers. I really do, because it's a seize the moment, once in a lifetime opportunity kind of thing. But also, Alaina, there are certain elements of it that it has to be worth it. And that's a really well rounded answer for, I think, anybody who's listening. Don't just say, I'm going to be on TGLC, or any world champion team. Don't displace your life for the wrong reasons. So let's talk a little bit about, Alaina, the off the mat side of being this high profile athlete. Did you expect that? And what has that been like for you? Well, like taking pictures with, being a famous athlete, really. You put that uniform on and everyone wants to take pictures with you. And there's more to being a TGLC athlete at a competition than just competing on the mat.
For me, I still think of when I was at my first ever cheer competition. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go compete, have fun. I feel like for me, it's not anything more than that. I'm super grateful for everybody who supports TGLC, and I love it. But I just have to remember, because I probably would honestly freak out if I was thinking about the 1,500 people or whatever watching me. So I'm like, okay, gotta be perfect. But I just think of, okay, it's just my mom, my dad, my coaches watching, my teammates' parents watching me, and I know I need to be a good role model and do everything in the proper way, but I just have to focus on that. I just love cheerleading and I'm doing what I love and giving it everything that I got.
Do
We
you
had a
guys?
moment after Worlds. I will say we had a moment after Worlds because we've always joked ever since she was like on Lady Lightning and then TGLC. We would joke like, "Oh, don't let it get to your head. They don't want a picture with you. They want a picture with the uniform." That has always been a joke. And then I will say 2 things happened immediately after Worlds this year when she was on TGLC for the first time. We were walking around Disney Springs and these girls stopped her. She's wearing like nothing TGLC related. They're like,
I'm like, are you like killing me? I was like, it's so pranky me right now. As like sitting there, I was like, I mean, yeah.
but I think that was a moment where it was so fulfilling, like all of that hard work. I'm not just a uniform. It was a moment for me as a mom. I was so proud.
Yeah, but we would get told that also. Like, no, it's not you, it's the uniform.
I've seen that in action, actually. I've seen that where there'll be a TGLC athlete walking around in uniform and there's a line to take a picture with them. And then they go and change and they're in a crowd of 100 people and no one has any idea who they are. And that's unfortunate because I wish that we would know the athletes better and we would be better about telling stories about athletes so that we can be invested in the athlete and not just the program or the team or the uniform. But I love that they knew who you were.
And
Yeah,
it
it was
happened when we
at
had
the airport also.
Oh, but and at Starbucks, remember?
Oh, yes, I was at Starbucks in my small little hometown. And I'm like going to grab my drink. They're like, Alaina, calling my name or whatever. And this guy turns around. He's like, wait, are you Alaina from TGLC? And I'm like, yeah.
How do you, I have my ideas about how they knew that, but how do you think they knew that?
I honestly had no idea because I had nothing TGLC on. I was like going to church, I think. Yes, I was literally going to church. It was like a Sunday morning. Can we get a picture with you? And then another random person asked me for a picture. Probably had no idea who I was. Just wanted to get in on the picture.
It's like, yeah, she must be.
Little do they know, just a cheerleader.
So, what other kinds of has being a part of this team given you other opportunities?
I mean, of
We're
course,
here.
this.
I mean, I think all the connections that she's
Yeah.
made, all the relationships are pretty invaluable through Infinity and just through meeting all kinds of cool people, not just in the industry, but like people who are really good mentors like yourself.
Yeah.
Well,
To me?
flipping my hair. To me. And Alaina, I see you, I follow you on social media, of course. And another misconception, maybe this episode needs to be called like misconceptions about world champion athletes or something, but is that cheer is a big workout. Cheer is, it keeps you active. The amount of times that you practice during the week, whether it's tumbling privates or team practice, and the amount of time that you're in there for practice would, to any normal lay person like me, seem like enough of a physical workout, enough physical activity for anyone.
Yeah.
And Alaina, you are working out, doing something every day.
Yes. It's more because I truly love working out. Like, it's like my enjoyment of like outside of cheer. What's like my fill my like cup of like tea every single day. That's what like fulfills my day. Speaking up, going and working out. And then also it makes cheer so much easier.
Which makes it more enjoyable.
Which makes it way more enjoyable. Like I love walking into cheer practice knowing I'm not going to be able to, or I'm going to be able to do all my passes because I work out so hard. So it's just, if I didn't do anything outside of cheer, I probably would want to cry at practice because I'm so out of breath, like so out of shape.
And I will say, when we lived at home, my husband is a big proponent of lifting weights and injury prevention and all that. So that actually was part of the deal, was if we left, that she would continue to lift weights, which we didn't really have to make a deal because she likes it and wants to. But that was one of his main concerns, was like, now she's in the gym with me, 4 or 5 days a week. And I'm making sure that, certain parts of her body are, one, working on injury prevention, but 2, strength training. So I think it's just part of our family dynamic anyway.
Yeah, but the workout classes are super fun.
Are there other athletes on your team that work out outside of cheer?
I think all of the boys work out quite a bit. I know the Jag House calls themselves the Jack House now because they made a little gym in their garage. So I know that's like a big deal, but I feel like everybody.
That's awesome.
I know. I think it started actually last year, and it's just like kind of continued. They all love lifting weights. They all go to the gym together and lift weights.
And I think the girls do too. I think a lot of the girls like will go into their apartment gym and like, jump on a treadmill or
but also
whatever.
like when we have breaks from like TGLC, we have like mandatory workouts we have to send in. So like no matter what, even if we're on a break, we are still probably like doing like full out style like workouts. I think sometimes they're harder than our actual full out, especially the ones over Christmas break. Those ones are actually so hard.
I believe it. You need it to do all the things that you do and do them well. Alaina, what do you want cheer athletes to know about TGLC athletes? If there was something that you could tell people about you guys, what would it be?
We are normal humans.
We do not pay the judges.
We do not pay.
I can't believe that's a rumor. Okay, whatever.
We are normal humans.
And if we did, we would have won NCAA in cheer sport.
Yeah. No, but we are normal humans. We love doing normal teenage stuff, like going to the beach and just hanging out. What else? I don't know. We all are crazy. We love making up crazy jokes. We make up like things about like our routine, like what we're gonna say in the middle of our routine. It's just like a good time. We're truly just like normal teenagers that just love cheerleading.
And what advice would you give to a young athlete who's listening who maybe is in your position a few years ago and wants to be a TGLC athlete?
Just trust the process. Know that everything is going to work out, whether it's not in that exact moment. It might seem like everything is like going awful and not your way, but eventually, if you just let it play out, everything's gonna happen as you want to. Trust me, it will all work out.
Okay, I didn't tell you I was going to ask this, but we know the theme earlier than we've ever known this year, and I'm very grateful for that. We didn't have to stay in we didn't have to stay in suspense for too long. You love the theme. You've said it's the best theme that TGLC has ever done.
Yes.
Is there a part of it that you can share that you don't have to don't tell us anything about the uniforms or the music or the choreography, but help me connect with Drive to Survive. Help me connect with the theme.
Okay, so Drive to Survive, it's 5 in the Survive for our 5 feet. And then also just, there's so many like little details. I feel like this year that plays such a big part into like our routine. I don't know what I'm
so like F1 racing, guys. It's F1 racing.
Yeah, which happens
for those who don't know. For those who don't live in Florida, I live in Colorado, and so I gotta get on board
with how creative the choreographers and our coaches are year in and year out, and to watch the process all come into play and watch it all just come together.
Yeah, because when we first start our routine, it's like a completely blank slate. Like it looks like the most probably boring routine you've ever watched in your whole entire life. And then we start getting the motions, the fluff, the like super clean like tumbling passes, and the big pyramid that you always see TGLC do. It all comes together so incredibly, especially this year with the race car theme. Like
to watch them choreograph motions is one of probably the coolest things because you can see the creativity in their mind. Oh, the minds that can think of some of that is just genius.
I was not on board with the gladiator theme when they announced it last season. I was like, people were texting me like, what do you think? What do you think? I'm like, I don't know. At the beginning of the year, I was it was like, I get it.
I got in the car. I was like, I actually don't even know what this is.
I get it, but come on. If I have to watch a movie to understand it.
Yeah.
EMTG was so like, I was there. But by the end of this, not even by the end of the season, I would say by cheer sport, I was like, okay, I see it.
I think this routine will be not just like easier to read, but pick up on all of the.
And I will say, I think that the gladiator theme, the Spartan theme, appealed to a more diverse fan base because I will tell you, as supportive as my husband and boys are, they're like, yeah, it's great. They never really got on board, but 300 is one of their favorite movies that they have watched 1,000 times. So when they heard the music, they were like, oh, yeah, that's 300. It connected with them immediately. Yeah. So I do think it opened up the fan base quite a bit.
Okay,
this year though, our routine is it's amazing. I cannot wait for everybody to see it.
I'm not dogging on the skirts, but do the boys get to wear pants this year?
Oh, yes, there will be pants. It'll be like the regular OG Top Gun uniforms.
Maybe we should put them in dresses from now on.
Yeah, maybe. You might be right, actually.
Oh, so much fun. Well, thank you both for spending some time with me and peeling back the curtain a little bit and reminding us that you're normal people and that we're all in this together. You might have a different day to day than most cheer athletes, but I think all cheer athletes have the same struggles, have the same goals.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you being real with us.
No, thanks for inviting us on. It's always fun hanging out with you.
I love you guys both so much.
Oh, we love you more.